This week, no more unbeaten teams remain. To start off, let's talk about how Cleveland was able to upset the San Francisco 49ers on their backup quarterback at the helm with PJ Walker. San Francisco is coming into this with a dominant win over the Dallas Cowboys, as we saw on Sunday Night Football, 42-10, just completely exerting their dominance over a bitter rival, and across the NFL making a message known that they're the best team in the NFL. But as we know, any team can win on any given Sunday, and the Cleveland Browns proved so yet again with dominant defense. I mean, that defense, as we said, can win games as they did on Sunday. They are capable of doing so many things, whether it's turnovers, getting after the quarterback, and they took advantage of a very mucky game in wet, inclement conditions that we saw on Sunday. Now, of course, let's take it with a grain of salt that the 49ers did lose Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, who were knocked out of the game, and then Trent Williams suffered some injury that limited him for the rest of the game. However, still, wins are wins. NFL doesn't care about how injuries happen or how many accumulate to a given team. We have to give credit where credit is due. The Cleveland Browns were coming into this game without their starting quarterback. We know that Cleveland's quarterback is dealing with a shoulder injury. In fact, I'm dealing with a similar one right now. I have a minor tear to my labrum. It's not really fun, and it limits your range of motion, especially on making throws or swinging motions. So that is what they're going with right now with Cleveland's quarterback situation. There was issues whether or not he was medically cleared or not. He was cleared, but he still feels pain to the point where he doesn't feel that he could be 100% effective against an NFL defense, which is why he himself held himself out for 2 consecutive weeks. Now, it's strange nonetheless. It's odd, and definitely felt that last week Cleveland wasn't prepared for that. This week, maybe a little bit more, and that's why they also signed PJ Walker, who has his string of starts. Now, was he great in this game? No, he had 2 interceptions and definitely still showed that he is fairly inexperienced compared to the rest of his counterparts maybe in the NFL, but still made plays to win this game. From the beginning, it looked great for San Francisco. Opening drive touchdown, dump off pass to Christian McCaffrey, take it in for a touchdown, and you're up 10-0 later on. As the game wore on, Cleveland's defense was able to make their presence known, especially with the ball being slippery. We saw Brock Purdy have issues gripping that football a couple of times. He was able to get back on top of the ball, but it altered throws and just how he's able to conduct the offense. So something that's new, something that's a little bit wonky, not the norm that we've seen out of Brock Purdy, because he was uncharacteristically inaccurate and off point with the ball. Because yes, he's working with guys not named Deebo and Christian McCaffrey, but still, there are pretty good wide receivers out there. They still had Brandon Ayuk, and for whatever reason, again, George Kittle was left out of the offensive game plan. You think when those weapons are gone, and after coming off a hat trick of touchdowns in the previous game, they would go right back to him given the injuries that they had. But for whatever reason, it was more of a Jennings and Ayuk and running the ball kind of game, but still not a lot after those injuries happened, and Browns offense was able to get in range to get a couple of scores. They would make this game a little bit closer than it had to be, but they were able to get the job done and take a lead going into the final frame within the last 2 minutes. They could have probably milked a little bit more juice off of that clock, but a miscuse by PJ Walker, instead of being able to sit down and take a sack, let that clock run out, he threw an incompletion, in fact almost intercepted, with that pass being thrown into triple coverage. And that's that inexperience that we're talking about with PJ Walker. But nonetheless, the defense was able to get stops when necessary, especially forcing a field goal attempt that isn't a gimme, and that's with the rookie kicker Moody, who already missed the 50-yard kick, missed a kick that was within 40 yards or so, not a gimme in these type of conditions, and just pushed it wide right, and that was the end of the game right there. So we're gonna hear a lot of talk, Brock Purdy can't win without all pros surrounding him. Yeah, I think it's a factor into the loss. It's not easy to adapt when your all-pro receiver, all-pro running back, even all-pro left tackle are injured, or if not out of the game entirely. That's an adjustment on the fly that even Coach Shanahan has to make. But still, that is not all on Brock Purdy. I think he was able to drive the team down the field, and it just came down to a swing of somebody's right foot that just was outside the uprights. If that kick goes in, we're going to talk about how Brock Purdy is able to carry this team despite the issues and having an off day to win this game and go undefeated. But still, drop the game, and this just goes to show that any team can win on any given Sunday. We've seen countless times injuries play a factor, weather, and now this is a great win for Cleveland as they're trying to get themselves back into the AFC North race, and still they can lean on this defense while their quarterback is nursing that shoulder injury. And if he comes back, I think Cleveland really has something special, because when in his last game against Tennessee, he was spot on, and it's just a matter of just getting acclimated back into that Kevin Stefanski offense.